So the United Nations is just about to sign our new agreement with Bosnia and Herzegovina, and it will be for 5 years, from 2021 to 2025, and it will be signed on the 20th of May with myself and the Chair of the Council of Ministers, His Excellency Tegeltija. And this is really exciting for us. I mean, it's taken us 2 years to basically work through extensive negotiations on this with the authorities, but also with ordinary people, citizens, the private sector, civil society, and many of our partners. And so through that process, we've identified 4 key priorities that will define that partnership. This is very much in the area of rule of law and governance is a key one. Social cohesion is an extremely important one, which is basically how we can support people and communities to speak and work together and have that cohesion amongst them. And a very, very important one is inclusive economic growth, because we know that given this COVID pandemic, we've seen that Bosnia and Herzegovina at the moment is facing basically a recession, the biggest recession in the last 25 years. But how we build forward better with more inclusive, with fairer and greener growth is really important. And finally, we also have another area of focus, which is on social protection. And here it's about how we look at 21st century skills in terms of areas like the health and in areas such as education, how we really invest in taking and supporting Bosnia and Herzegovina and its people to take that step forward in terms of skill development. What's also important about this agreement is it's really our contribution as the United Nations to our member state, which is Bosnia and Herzegovina, to really accelerate towards the 2030 agenda. So in 2030, the world will come together to look at the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. And everything in that agreement is really a contribution to that, and how we support the people and the authorities in this country achieve the goals that they have set. So recently we've also had a very important development in the area of the commitment of Bosnia and Herzegovina to climate action and dealing with what is essentially is the climate crisis. And very importantly is that the Council of Ministers recently agreed to the new nationally determined contributions. What's around that is that they have committed to reducing emissions by 2/3 of the levels that they had in 1990 by 2050. This is a really important step forward. I mean, Bosnia and Herzegovina has a difficult past, and so do also many of the countries in this region. However, you also have an incredible resource here, and that is your youth. One of the things we have learned in the United Nations is that youth want to be at the table. They have a voice. They want to be heard. What we need to do is we need to provide them with the space to be at that table and to listen to them, and to provide the space for them to also contribute to setting the direction of their future. So I think this is something that is an incredible resource, and really when it comes to particularly Bosnia and Herzegovina, where you have so many of your youth leaving, you have so many of your families leaving, finding a way to actually provide that space for youth to engage and contribute can be one of the biggest accelerators to having a better, more prosperous, greener and inclusive future as you move forward.